Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Headmaster's Homeroom. I am Lady Hamilton. I am so glad to have everybody joining me tonight. I hope you all brought a snack because on this show, we feed your body and your soul. If you are new to this show, well, welcome, welcome. There's a reason I do this show on Sundays and the show on Thursdays. If you guys do not know, I was once in my life back in 2021, I was very much paralyzed from the waist down from chemicals in our foods. And because of my wonderful nurse husband and the wonderful father above, I decided that, he decided to get me toxin free. And so due to due to chemically free life, I am here today. So I have decided, and being a chef for a very, very long time, I decided that I was going to do cooking videos to show you guys how to make your own foods chemically free and get the wonderfulness of cooking back in our lives. So something I wanted to show you guys real quick, and I'm going to say hello to everybody over there on Rumble. We've got some new people over there, but we got our greats, JJ, Frosty, and Nancy. Thank you so much for being there. And hello, Shelly Rose. We've nice and welcome, welcome, welcome. And we've also got Susan K. Spencer. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I am so excited to have you here. Hello to all of our ex-viewers. So great. And yeah, JJ, I got that link you shared with me. And hello to all of our wonderful Pilled viewers. So nice to see you guys. Yes, you're over there with the great memes. And hello to all of our YouTube viewers. Thank you guys all for joining me tonight. So for new members here today, I'm going to show you how something that you can find out. I've said something in the chats before that I am here to teach you guys how to make all these kind of things from scratch, chemically free. So if you go to my main page, and that is on Rumble here, Lady Hamilton Art, and you go in that search button, make sure you're on the main page, but you go into that search button, and let's say you want to learn how to make your own butter. Just type that into the search button, and it will pull up all the shows I have about health and healing on it, the power of butter, how to make all these kind of great things. Let's say you want to learn how to make sour cream. You can just type this kind of stuff in and it will show you all these different things that you guys can find, where you can make your own chocolate, where to make your own, make homemade chocolate here, flourless desserts, all these kind of great things. So you guys can just put in something if you're curious on what to make or how to make it. And you can look in, just put in this one's bread, all the different things I have here on bread. And so just giving you a little FYI on how to search for previous videos of mine by going to my main channel there on Rumble at Lady Hamilton Art, and just put in the search button what you want to look, from meats to breads to sour creams to sweetened condensed milk to making your own oils. We had frankincense oil as well too over the holidays, and I just thought I would show you guys how to do that real quickly so you can find previous videos to help you guys as you're on this journey with me to be chemically free and eating amazing, wonderful foods, and again bringing back the love of cooking in our kitchens again. So do me a favor, guys, don't forget to hit those buttons, right? Hit those likes, follows, shares, and thank you guys so much for your support. I appreciate you guys. You guys can do that by rant, subscriptions, pills, tips, cash apps, and more. Thank you guys so much for that. It's great to have you all here. So yes, this link will be a great reset. Yes, I am looking forward to that. That goes perfect with my announcement of my show tomorrow, JJ. So you were already thinking ahead, and I absolutely love that you were doing that for me. So tonight, you guys, we are diving a little bit into something, different, some international cuisine. We're going to be making some amazing Indian cuisine tonight, from naan bread made with my wonderful new favorite arrowroot flour to making some wonderful beef masala. And of course, I'm going to pull up an old video here too, since I had arrowroot flour on the brain. I just made the most beautiful lemon meringue pie using arrowroot flour. So I figured I would show you that, guys, again. So like I always say, make sure you bring a snack. I'm always in the chats when I show these videos here too. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. I'll be joining you in any chat, on any of the chats that you guys are joining, whether you're on Rumble, X, Pills, or YouTube. After we watch these amazing videos, then we are going to have our wonderful Be Blessed prayer, and then dive right into our Feeding the Soul, where we're going to be talking about the importance of speaking love to ourselves, choosing positive, life-giving words at the beginning of every day with good thoughts, gratitude, and inspiration for ourselves. So All right, everyone, if we are ready to go, I am going to load up that first video. Like I said, we're going to be doing some wonderful naan bread and some beef masala. So let me get that put up here. It's quite a long video, so everybody say a prayer. Sometimes StreamYard doesn't like to play these really long ones, so everybody say a prayer that these go through just fine. All right, everybody, I'm going to be joining you in the chats. Let's get this loaded up right now. Here is our first video. Here we go. All right, everyone, I told you guys some flatbread today, and we are going to be using an alternative flour today and see how this works out. So hopefully everything works out great. And I'm so excited. But the first thing we need to do, and I will show you that flour here in a minute, but we're going to make what's called an Indian bread called naan. It is a flat bread. It's really awesome, and it's going to go great with our Indian food tonight. So, but the first thing we need to do is make our water and our yeast mixture, because that has to sit for a few minutes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a half a cup of warm tap water. And you can call it tepid water, but it's going to be probably a little bit warmer than you might think. So just right in the middle, you know, when you're getting your water right, you want it to be warm. So we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of instant yeast to that. We're also going to add, it says 1 teaspoon of white sugar. Now, you guys know I'm not a huge fan. You can do your white sugar this way, but honey works the same. So I'm going to do 1 teaspoon because the sugar or the honey will help activate the yeast. And that goes right in there like that. We're going to whisk this up so everyone can see this. And we're going to let this sit for a few minutes so it activates. You can tell about 5 to 10 minutes once it starts getting nice and bubbly. And we'll show you that here in a few minutes when that's ready to go. But we are just going to mix this like this until everything dissolves and let it activate, because that's our most important thing to get started with before we do anything else. So we're going to let that do its magic, and I'll be back in a few minutes as soon as that's ready to go. Okay, so we're going to show you some of these ingredients. As our yeast is pretty much ready to go, I just wanted to show you, maybe you've never seen this before, but you can buy this in packets or in a bigger bulk. I do like to have this on hand. It stores very well for a good time. You can just put it in your freezer, or not your freezer, your fridge. It can store for quite a while. And again, as you guys know, I have all different kinds of flours and yeast and stuff, because you never know. I might have a party to make something for. I love to give gifts to my neighbors, my community. Also, you never know when you're trading bread. But my husband, trading bread for something else, right? It could be a commodity someday. My husband found, you guys know that we don't like a lot of flour, and I can't have normal flour. So we are going to, he bought this for me. It's an organic arrowroot flour that we're going to be using today, if everybody can see. And I love it. It's an arrowroot flour. So we're going to try to see if this works today. And it's going to be basically my first time using this. Also, you can put your flours in your freezer and or your fridge, depending on how fast you use flour. But the recipe, everyone, calls for bread flour. It does mention that you can use regular flour. So in the permanent chat, I will make a note that I'm using a different flour, but it does call for bread flour or all-purpose flour, okay? So the first thing that we are going to do here is we got my handy dandy mixture. I love starting this stuff off this way, all right? So we are going to start with this. We have our wonderful, let me just change this so everybody can see. Sorry, everyone. You can see that our yeast, well, maybe you can't. Our yeast is bubbly. See what I can do for that. Let's change this camera here. Maybe everybody can see our yeast is bubbling and has quickly dissolved, and that is exactly what we're looking for. And I'm going to put this back onto our mixer so everybody can see that. We're starting this, and this was, again, half a cup of water. I used a teaspoon of honey. The recipe does call for sugar. You can use that if you want to. and then a teaspoon of the rapid rise yeast. And make sure that this goes together. If you're really worried about your water being the right temperature, you're looking at about 105 degrees. But also another note too is while our yeast water was getting ready to go, I turned my oven on because it's a little chilly today where I live. I turned my oven on to the lowest temperature. And once that gets to that temperature, I'm going to turn it off, because that's where I'm going to put our bread to rise. If it's warm enough outside, 75, 80 degrees or higher, you can definitely just put it right here on your counter to rise. But it is in the 60s today, so I'm going to use my oven. Again, I put it on its lowest temperature. I preheated it, and once it gets to that temperature, I turn it off. All right, so back to our bread making here. So we have done this. We've got our yeast mixture in here. It does call for 2 tablespoons of milk, which we are going to do here. 1, 2. It also calls for a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I really like, if I'm going to use salt or anything, I like to use the Himalayan pink salt, one of my favorite. You guys can use whatever salt you want. That goes right in there. Also calls for 1 egg that's been whipped. As you can see, we've got that in here. We're going to throw that right into this mixture as well. Then it calls for 2 tablespoons of melted butter. Let's have that right in here too. 1, 2. Voila. All right. Now, once we have that all into here, we are going to add our flour. I always like to add our flour slowly. We move these out of our way. Oh, you guys, I have that pot roast already going with some masala spices, and let me tell you, that is so good. It smells so good in this house. Okay, so now that we've got this, we're going to add half of this. So it calls for a cup and 3/4 of a cup, so 1 3/4 cups of bread flour or all-purpose flour. And like I said, we are using this arrowroot flour, but whenever I make bread, I always start with about half of the bread flour mixture. And that's why I like my little processor. We're going to just puree bolts together. Beautiful. We're going to finish our dough on our countertop. I'm just going to get some more of this arrowroot flour and just kind of sprinkle it right here before I put our dough down. All right. See what I mean? How nice it already turned out. Look at that. You can definitely do this by hand, but you guys, I'm telling you, I really love having a food processor or a KitchenAid or something to get the dough started for me. Something I've done for several years. Always get a little bit of flour on your fingers. Really helps get the dough off of things. All right. We are going to move this. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle it with this arrowroot flour because we want a nice soft dough, but we're going to move that over because we don't want to add too much flour to it. We want a nice soft dough, and look at this. We're just going to knead this for a few minutes. Yeah, make sure everything comes together. That's kind of the secret of all doughs is the kneading process. And not adding too much. You see, I keep scraping away. I don't want it to stick to the counter, but I want to form a nice soft dough, as you guys can see. Something that's not going to stick to my hands. Look at that. This didn't take very long at all. I'm very happy with this. I'm really surprised. So, really interesting, guys. You can try all different kinds of flours, right? You know, you don't have to always eat the bread flour or the whole white flours or whatever. You know, try the different almond flours, coconut flours. This is arrowroot, like I said. Really interesting. Our next process is you take a bowl here. It can be done with butter. You want to make sure that you can spray it. You can butter and flour it. But I just use some olive oil in it. Right, put my dough in here. I'm going to wrap it with some plastic. Put it into our oven. As it rises, it's probably going to take about an hour to do so. Kind of loosely. And we are going to, like I said, let this rise for about an hour. But you know, you can always check on it and make sure that we're looking for at least double the size. Bread is in the oven. I'm rising. I figured we would start getting our curry paste ready to go for when our beef is done, because we are going to definitely separate that and finish it in the oven. And then with the leftover juices in the crock pot, my husband, you know, you usually serve this with the naan or you serve this with rice. My husband doesn't like really either. So I'm going to actually throw some small little potatoes in there, you know, our little sweet golden potatoes and red potatoes into the juices and let that cook, because I think he's really going to love that. It'll be a nice surprise for him. So, but while we're waiting, I figured, you know what, not show you the curry paste and go ahead and get this ready. That we're going to, like I said, we're going to finish our roast in the oven. Okay, so this is going to be starting with some wonderful tomato paste. And I just wanted to show you guys, this is what I do. I make our tomato paste and I freeze them in little like silicone cupcake rounds. And then I'm saving the other one here for the potatoes. And then I just freeze them in little discs. And then you can just let it sit out. And look at this. It's just really wonderful. And our paste is ready to go. You just cook down the tomatoes. And we'll get to that this summer, I promise. But okay, so we have this wonderful tomato paste that we are working with here. So this is where things get interesting. Now, I've never heard of Kashmiri, and it's Kashmiri, and it's a chili powder. It's very, very spicy. This calls for 6 tablespoons. And this is where you guys can control your spices. How spicy do you want it? If you really love spicy food, I suggest you go with all of this. But I'm kind of a medium spicy girl, so instead of 6 tablespoons of this chili powder, I'm going to use 3. And that's just my own preference. But again, everyone, so that's 1, 2, 3. So there's a few things you could do to curb it. And so when you go to an Indian restaurant, they always ask you, do you want mild, medium, or spicy, right? So this is why they ask that, because this chili powder and our curry are going to help us bring that level of spiciness. So again, I have the recipe that I'll be having in the permanent chat, and 2 things that are controlling this spiciness. The chili powder, and again, that's Kashmiri. All right, so the next is going to be our coriander. So let's find my coriander. That's going to be 2 teaspoons of that. One. Okay, let's use a half one so I can go into my spices. There we go. Coriander. I really hate those lids. I'd rather take off the top lids. Okay, the next one is going to be our cumin. And that's calling for 3 teaspoons of cumin. You wonder why you can smell Indian food all the way down the street and then some. They love the spices. I watched a comedy show, which was pretty all right. But one thing she said is, you know, why do they use so many spices? Because they love flavor. They love their spices. All right, the next one is 4 cloves, which we're going to put in a teaspoon of ground cloves, just because that is, I don't have full cloves on hand here. So we'll just put in a teaspoon of cloves. We're going to go with that. We've got a teaspoon of cardamom. Okay, where did that spice go? There we go. 1. I'm using a half teaspoon here, guys, because it's easier for me to get inside my jars. And yes, I take all those little lids off because I like to be able to control that. All right, cinnamon. We are going to be using 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So very much similar to the spices that we already made. But this is our sauce. So we got Gotta do 4 of these since these are half teaspoon, everybody. I'm using half teaspoon so I can get inside my jar here. Half a teaspoon of black pepper. We've got 2 tablespoons of ginger. You can use fresh ginger or you can use ground ginger. Fresh ginger is going to be a lot more potent, obviously. So we are going to use 4 of these because this is half teaspoons here. But it does call for 2 teaspoons. It does recommend fresh ginger, but I don't have it on hand. A teaspoon of, I'm going to spell this for, it's fenugreek seeds. Again, we got using 2 of these. There we go. And the fenugreek is Fenugreek. You guys can look in the description for that. We got our turmeric. And it calls for a 1/4. Really love turmeric too. So turmeric. All right. And that's going to be a start. We're going to finish this off with some garlic, which we're going to put into our chop, and some white vinegar. But I want to get all of our spices really mixed in first before we add those to that. Let's get those. Look at how beautiful this is. A nice, gorgeous, dark color. And the spices, you can smell them. Oh my heavens, it smells so good. All right, I'm going to put this on pause while I go grab my white vinegar. I'll be right back. Okay, everyone, so I got my white vinegar and I put it in my little chop here because I wanted to grind up the garlic. This recipe calls for 10 garlic cloves, and literally right next to it says, yes, 10. So I find that really funny. And so what I did is I took the white garlic. Sorry, I took the white garlic and the garlic and the white vinegar, and I put it in my chop and blended it together so that I could get it all blended up. If you guys don't want that much garlic, some of you are not fans, that is okay. You could probably use half of that. But this is a very spicy and flavorful dish. So I'm going with the garlic. The garlic's going to be great for antifungal, antibacterial, so many different things. So I love the garlic. So if you guys have any infections going on in your body, this would be the dish for you. So I've added that in. So that's the 10 cloves of garlic. And then it also calls for 7 tablespoons of white vinegar. And like I said, I just mix those together and put them into my little chop. And see, we're just going to blend this right into this paste. The next thing it calls for here is going to be some chopped onion, 1 chopped onion. So I'm going to go ahead and put that also into my little mixer here and get that nice and chopped up for us. I just diced that up before I put it into my little chop. We're just going to mix that up here. Voila. Off there, that goes in here as well. I love eating this meal. I have never made this before, so this is new to me just as much as it is to you. But when I go to an Indian restaurant, this is one of my favorite things to eat. So we're going to see if I can make this just as good as the restaurant does, the restaurant's food. But I do love myself some Indian food. And so we are going to mix in our onion. It also calls for, let's see here. Sorry, everyone. I know it's butter, but okay, 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Oh boy, did that work out pretty well. All right, 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Get all of that in there. Yeah. All right. Now you guys know that I've controlled the heat with the chili powder, but we're getting to it. We're going to add also some brown sugar. And let me get this open. I'm going to get me a different measuring thing here, because those have all kinds of tomato paste. A couple tablespoons brown sugar right in there. Okay, so it calls for 10 leaves of curry, 10 curry leaves, and I was not able to find curry leaves, so I'm going to use some, actually just a spice. Instead of having 10 curry leaves, I would imagine that would equal to about 1 tablespoon. I'm just basically guessing on this, guys, so 1 tablespoon of curry, we're going to add that right into that. You can always add more, but this is where you're going to want to control that spice, right? If you want less, go with less. If you want to do 2 tablespoons, you definitely can. You will absolutely get that wonderful spiciness to it. And again, we are just testing this out. Okay, so but when we go to put this on our meat, it does call for some wonderful beef stock. We're going to use the juices from that roast, right? And now we've already created our own beef stock. So we have just made our paste for right now. And we are going to return when that roast is ready. We're going to add our stock to that, make a nice sauce, and finish off our roast with this wonderful paste. So we'll see you guys when that is ready. Okay, we've got our roast almost wonderful, nice and tender. And I just brought it out from the crock pot, and I've just kind of broken it up here because we want to continue cooking it in the oven in the wonderful curry paste that we just made. We're going to move that over. We've got our wonderful curry paste here. Here is our 2 cups of beef stock that we are adding to this paste, like I said we were going to do. And we're just going to mix that in so it just gets all mixed in really beautifully. Nice, wonderful sauce. We're going to pour that right over the top of that meat and let that cook for a couple hours. I'm going to cook it on 300, pretty low. I think the recipe calls to cook it a little bit higher than that. Let me just double check on that. Yeah, it says 375, but everyone remember that I have cooked this roast already. So if you're going to do this without cooking it beforehand, then you go ahead and put it at 375. But I wanted to get it going already and get it nice and soft. And it says also too that you're going to cook it for 2 hours until the beef falls apart. And as you can see, we already have that. So I'm going to cook it on a much slower one. Again, I just want this to go. You could probably throw this right back in your crock pot, except I'm cooking potatoes in the crock pot because I don't want it to have all of this paste all over it. I want to have the potatoes done separately. So I am going to pour this right over here. We're going to cook in our oven, maybe even at 275. I really want to cook this slowly, right? So it just comes nice and tender. Cook it for a few hours that way. I'm going to cover it with some foil. And again, just nice and slowly and tender. So it gets all of those wonderful spices in there. And I believe our bread is ready to go for round 2. So give me a minute to pause this. I'm going to put some foil on the top if everybody can see how beautiful that looks. I'm going to put the foil on top and then in the oven for 275. But my oven is already doing the bread, so we're going to have to preheat that. But again, this is going to go in the oven. If you're going to do this from the word scratch, from a raw piece of meat, the directions that are in the permanent chat and the link in the permanent chat will say something different. But, you know, I had to run to the store and do all different things, but I love crock pot. So I went ahead and started the meat with that Masala spices that we did, right? So it already's got some wonderful flavor to it. I've left half the juices in the crock pot for the potatoes, and I will continue with that in just a few minutes. So give me a minute to get this into the oven and bring out our bread, and we will go with that. We'll be right back. All right, everyone, as you can see, our dough has doubled in size. Very exciting about that. Oh, I should turn off the timer here. That actually only took about 45 minutes. So we are going to flour our area here. And this is where it's going to do its second rise. I guess one of the things I'll be including in the permanent chats is my version of the recipe, and I'll give you guys a link to their version of the recipes. So you can see the difference. I guess one of the things I guess that benefit about being a chef is that I can kind of go with some alterations since I've done this so often. I can kind of go with flying by the seat of my pants here basically, but this I'm not done. So, all right. We are, but I have done bread for many years, but okay, so this is going to be cut into 6 pieces. So I am going to just cut this down the middle. We are going to cut these into even pieces here. One thing about this recipe, and I'm making these little balls, which you guys can see here. We're going to let this re-rise. This might be too much flour. It's just lightly flour here. We're going to make these little balls. We're going to let these rise for about another 15 minutes. Just put them right here. And these need to be cooked in a cast iron skillet. If you don't have that, the recipe does recommend like a griddle or something to use too. But the heat that's going to be needed to make this flatbread that's why a cast iron griddle does so well. Because you can have this high heat, cook it really fast, and brown it on both sides. Kind of like making tortillas, right? But a little griddle works really well for making tortillas as well. So if you don't have a cast iron skillet, just use a little griddle, okay? But we're gonna let these rest, like I said, for about 15 minutes before we roll these out. Just making little balls here. I'm gonna make sure these don't stick. So and douse them a little bit of this arrowroot flour because I don't want them to stick on the bottom here. And so voila, we have these little dough balls, and you can see that I didn't make them perfectly. Even that's okay, don't worry about it, because we're going to be rolling these out. I am going to cover these up here with our plastic wrap, let these sit for about 15 minutes. Gives me time to go and get our cast iron skillet going. And I'll see you guys in a few more minutes. Okay, I'm going to show you how to roll one of these out real quick because I want to move my camera over because I want to show you about a cast iron skillet and how that's going to look. Even though we have 6 to do here, and yes, you're going to have to roll these out as you getting them prepared. But I also want to make sure you understand about warming up a cast iron skillet, seasoning it, and stuff like that, so we can go over that. So we will, and it's hard for me, I don't have 2 cameras, so everyone's gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna lightly flour our dough here and our rolling pin, and you want to just roll this out like you would a pie crust per se, if you've ever done that before. If not, just making sure it's not sticking, and you want to roll it pretty thin. As you guys can see, I'm doing this. If you've ever seen naan in the store before, that's usually in the deli section. It's just a nice big round piece like that. And that's what we're going to do with all 6 pieces. Very, very simple, everyone. And so I am going to put this on pause and move this so that you guys can see the next camera. I didn't want to forget about our potatoes, so I wanted to show you that I put those in there with the rest of that beef juices that we had from the roast previously that was cooking with the got some masala spices in there, and I only took half of that from the roast, and I left the rest of this. I put some more of that homemade tomato paste in there, and I'm cooking those to go. Now, normally, again, you would serve this over rice, but my husband's not a big fan of rice either, so I've just put these little sweet little potatoes in here, and we're just slowly cooking those as well, and I separated them from the roast that's in the oven. So then let's get this moved over. I'm going to pause this as we move this over to our skillet. All right, so this is our cast iron skillet. If you guys have one, that's great. If not, use a griddle. You know, you can use an electric griddle. That will work too. With a cast iron skillet, what I've done in here is I put some olive oil. It's kind of how we season it. You can do it with lard or olive oil, but a good oil here. And I poured some in here, and then you just rub it around like this, making sure that the whole thing is seasoned. And what we're looking for is we're looking for this to get so warm that the black smoke just starts keeping off of this. When you start to see it getting smoky, then you know it's hot enough to quickly pan fry our bread. So we are going to wait a few minutes for that, and we will be right back. All right, as you guys can see, I have it on high heat and it is smoking. So I was rolling out our bread, and what we're going to do is we're going to throw that right in there, just like that. And we're going to brown that on both sides, a few minutes on each. We're going to keep it in a bread warmer here next to us. I would probably make this bread as close to when your food is ready as possible, but things don't always work out that way. We're looking for nice bubbles here going before we flip it. I still have probably, I would say, another hour or so on my meat and potatoes, if that, but the bread was ready and I was trying to do all this for you guys. So one of these days I'll have the ability to have multiple cameras and things like that, but I wanted to make sure I was able to show you how to do this flatbread real quickly. Look at that, it's getting there, and also be able to cook this wonderful Indian dish today. So we are going to put this on here, and it's going to be about a minute or so on each side, nice bubbly brown, as you can see, as we can see the bubbles here. Probably even pick it up with your hand. You can use some tongs, you can use a spatula. I'm even probably going to toss that again because I want to see some more brown on the other side. But I just want to show you, this is going to be a quick, simple, easy bread, and really, I am really surprised with this arrowroot flour. This is the kind of brown I want to see everywhere. Not burnt, but you want to see it, you know, if you've ever made flour tortillas, kind of the same thing, but you want to see this nice, beautiful, bubbly, toasted brown kind of area. I am going to go ahead and start rubbing some garlic butter on it because I'm going to also cook it with that on there. Give this really great flavor. You do not need to do that. This is going to be definitely a very garlicky dish, but I do like garlic buttered naan. Okay. It smells phenomenal. Next one in. And happy are we. And again, I'm so surprised with this flour. I can't even tell you guys how excited I am. Yeah, that's all I can smell is those wonderful spices in this whole entire house. This smells like a wonderful Indian restaurant. Awesome. I'm getting hungrier by the minute. All right, and that is it, everybody. I will see you for the finish. The thing. Whoop. Oh my gosh, should we freeze? I'm frozen. Okay, I'm frozen. You lost me for a second. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, Twitter does not like these long version videos, guys. And I had to find, because let me turn off the music, you know, 1 second so I can I feel like so I can chat. I made that a long time ago, and I was like, where did I have the pictures for that? So I had to find a picture that was very close to what I had before. As you can see now, when you guys see the next video, you're going to see how different it is, because I do have more cameras now, and I do been able to kick it up on an aerial view. But I just had been the last few weeks trying with the holidays and kind of a little bit under the weather, but I really love this thing. And you know, you can see it's like 20 something different spices to it, right? And I did post links to recipes that are very, very similar to what I did. So those are in the chats and in the permanent chat over here on Rumble. So you guys can grab them if you want to. Venture out. Start getting books that have different things: Italian, Indian, Thai, Japanese, you know, Colombian, you know, Brazilian food. I mean, it's so much fun to venture out. That's one of the things I love about traveling around the world, is tasting all of this amazing cuisine. And I love some Indian food. And my husband loved that, served up with some amazing potatoes. And he, of course, he did try the bread because it was arrowroot flour, guys. And so it's amazing because it's not your typical flours. It's not your typical grains. So he was really excited about trying that kind of stuff. Even when I made the deep dish pizza, tried that too, made with arrowroot flour. If you guys have not ventured out and tried arrowroot flour, Anthony's makes a great organic one. You guys can find different varieties, but that one you can order it on Amazon, you can get it in the stores. It's absolutely amazing. And I've made all kinds of cakes, pastries, pies, and breads with arrowroot flour. And thank you guys, it looks so delicious. You take it, yum, right? Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. It turned out so great. It is now incorporated in one of my monthly things, because I was like, I don't know if he'll like that or not. There's a few things I've done. JJ, your chicken cacciatore that you recommended I did, and we did it for the show, that is in the monthly menu. But that one is definitely in there to spice it up. So you guys go and venture the world and try different cuisines. That is so, so good. So I'm glad you guys liked that and thought that was really yummy. The whole house smelled so wonderful. It's like, one of the things I love to do if I'm traveling is going to a spice market. I have not been to India yet. Ethiopia was pretty close. And I'll tell you what, going into a market that's just got these amazing dried spices right there, you're like, I am in heaven. I'll take, a pound of this. I would be too. That's kind of way when we moved to Oregon when we were first married too. We went to the town market. They have like festivals every summer. And being from Arizona originally, I was like, basil was so expensive, and they were like giving it out for, I don't know, like five. I don't know, it's a $5 a pound or something like that. And I'm like, I need to have 20 pounds of this. And my husband's like, why? And I'm like, I canned pesto forever. He got so sick of pesto and stuff. But when you have spices so cheap or whatever around you, I'm just like, I'm a spice hoard. I'm like, I need it. And so, yes, I love that. I hope you guys, is there going to be a cookbook? Yes, I am currently trying to be working on a cookbook, so you guys will be able to get all of my versions here shortly. Let's get some, I need to get some moving on that. And hopefully, I wanted to have that done by Christmas. That just did not happen. But maybe within the next month or two, I will have that up. So when we're watching these shows, I'll be like, hey, you guys, you can order my cookbook as well. Because one of the things of doing this too is having, when you can't eat flour and you can't do grain so well, and you guys can see, if you go back to some of like my beginning videos, and even that one that I did, months and months and months ago, you can see the massive amount of weight in my voice, the inflammation, all that has come off because of what I've done with my diet. It is absolutely amazing and completely changed my whole entire life. So one of the reasons I say that is because I want to have a cookbook that has all these alternatives to it. So it's like, yes, you can make cheesecake with this, or yes, you can make bread with this flour. And it probably will have a regular version of like, how to make bread with this flour, but then having a certain section called, maybe I'll be like the arrowroot chapter, right? So like, wow, because that blew me away. And my husband found that. He found that. He ordered it for me. He's like, hey, have you ever tried this? And I am baffled at how amazing that is. I use it for a lot of stuff, guys. It's almost, kind of like you can use it for like almost the same thing as a cornstarch. It is really, really great. So I cannot, recommend that enough. And yes, Frosty, we will get that out. And just you guys keep on me about the cookbook when I have time. Right. And instead of painting, which you guys all know I'm an artist, I need to be focusing on that cookbook. Not that I'm painting a lot, but yeah, we'll get to it. All right. So if you guys enjoyed that, the next one up, I figured, you know what? So one of our great friends, Try here, and I love you, Try. He's like, I wonder if you could do a lemon meringue pie without the cornstarch and, the sugars and all this kind of stuff and the flour, right, for the crust. I'm like, I bet you can. So he inspired this video. And so we're going to learn how, and it turned out so well. So here is the version of my lemon meringue pie, you guys. And again, I just did this over the holidays, right before the holidays, and I was floored. I love to have a good lemon meringue pie around Christmas time. I don't know why, but it is. I mean, maybe because it's, that's when, especially like in Arizona and the southern states and so forth, that's when the citrus is like really really on fire. So I just really love that. So we are going to get really hungry. And if you love, we always finish with a dessert one. So our dessert tonight is lemon meringue pie. So let's load that up. Again, I'm in the chats. If you guys have any questions for me or you just want to chat with me or whatever, please do so. And thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to hit those buttons. Let's go enjoy some dessert with some amazing lemon meringue pie. Here we go. Making lemon meringue pie without we are going to do this with yellow flour and I've already talked almond, pecan, walnut. I choose walnut. That's my favorite nut. And you want to make sure that you guys get it really fine, right? Even if we're going to do this even a little bit more than this, as you can see, we want it as fine can be. Just as if we're going to do some kind of graham cracker. We want it really meshed fine. So we're just going to right? What? Just little granules and just something you could even break apart even. And we're going to add in a couple tablespoons of melted butter to this as we are mixing. But before we do that, I'm going to spice up our crust here with about half a teaspoon of my homemade fresh ginger powder and a little dash of nutmeg, just to give it a little bit of a spice to it. There we go. You guys can see I can and make my own ginger powder. Awesome, like that. So we're going to put this back on. We're going to puree that. You want those spices incorporated really well. And we are going to just take off the top here and pour in our melted butter slowly. Voila, doesn't take long, super easy. All right, we have a pie pan here. We want a deep dish 9-inch pie pan, it says here. So we are going to get this out of here and put this right into our pie dish. Not all of this out. Just like this. Oops, got a little bit left right here. Just spread this around. We're going to pre-bake this in the oven. I've got it going already at 350. It's going to be very much like a paste. Just spread this around the sides here. Just making sure we got enough going up the sides, and we'll get that middle fixed here in just a second. Pushing it together. Now, you can always put another pan on here. You put some parchment paper over here and use some kind of weight. My mom used to use beans. But what I'm doing here for ours is I'm just using another pie pan. It's the same kind. I have a couple. What I'm going to do is just smash that in like that. There we go. See how that goes up the side? Just going to smash that in like this. I'm going to bake this. I'm just pushing down like a weight. I'm going to bake this in the oven at 350 for 12-15 minutes. All right, for our filling for our lemon meringue pie, we are going to be using 1 cup of honey here. We have 1/3 cup, I'm using arrowroot flour. We've got 1 1/4 cups of water here. We have normally 5 large eggs, and we divided the egg yolks and the egg whites. My chickens have been laying really small ones because they're new, so I actually use 7 here on us. We have 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice, which you guys can see I have done over here, and also 2 teaspoons of freshly grated lemon zest. All right, so what we're going to do, let this go in here. We're going to start with our honey. Get that already warmed up, making sure we got all of our honey going on. Don't want to miss out on that. Should stick so that there we go. We got our honey. We're adding in our water. Actually, I'm going to mix our arrowroot flour in with our water and get that all going just like this, already ready to go, and adding that into with our honey. Got 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We want to get this mixture nice and warmed up. Let's see. And yep, we're going to get a medium heat whisking until it comes to a boil. And then we're going to boil this for 1 minute. In the meantime, I'm going to take our egg yolks over here. I'm going to put them in a large bowl and get those whisked up together so that when this is ready, we can temper the egg. We're going to mix these eggs with our amazing lemon juice. While that is going here, we're going to move those out of the way. That's already coming up warm, nice, almost to a bubble or boil. That is what we're wanting to see. All right, we are going to whisk our egg over here with our lemon juice. So that is well incorporated. Now that we've got this going, we are going to add in our lemon zest for that. There we go. We're going to mix this for 1 minute. It's going to boil for 1 minute. You can see how it's already getting thick. That is what we want. Look at that. That is exactly what we want. We're going to take that off the heat here for a second. Moving that over. There we go. We're going to take some of this hot mixture. We're going to temper our egg with it. So we're going to get that mixing. Everything tempered now. Bring this back up here. We're going to do the opposite now. Add our egg in our mixture here. All together. Putting all of our eggs in our bowl here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add in our butter, and we're going to mix that until that butter is melted. Okay, melted, and this will go into our pie crust and sit while we'll do the meringue tarts. Perfect. That is pretty much melted and ready to go. Now we'll put it in our pie crust. All right, we've got our egg whites here, and we're going to whisk these things up, adding in a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and we are going to get these nice and foamy and gradually add in our wonderful honey, and have a cup of that. But first, we want to get these a nice thickness before we do. So here we go. All right, as it's getting fluffy, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to start gradually adding our honey in here. Go. Let that fluff up. We got nice stiff heat going on here. We're almost there with this. Beautiful. All right, let's check the paper there. Great way to test that is just pull it up. If it pulls up with a nice stiff peak like that, that is what we're wanting. I'll pull that out so everyone can see. If it pulls up like that and pulls, that's a nice stiff peak. That is what we're wanting to do. Look at that. Awesome. Got all of that. All right, time to put our wonderful pie together. This is looking amazing. All right, we got our crust beautifully done. Just like that. Beautifully done. Oops, this way so everyone can see. There we go. We have our wonderful filling. Beautiful. Wonderful lemon filling. All right, we want to top this with our meringue. Here. Over to on the sides. Just making sure all our beautiful sides are covered all the way around. Wow, this is going to be beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We're going to pop this in the oven, 350 for 12 to 15 minutes until the top is golden brown, and let it sit and take some pictures, you guys, to see this finish. Grab all of that wonderful, beautiful meringue. There we go. These beautiful, beautiful peaks. Look at that. Go hold. There we go. There we go. Isn't that amazing? We're going to pop this into the oven. 350, 12 to 15 minutes. So this is our pie out of the oven. Look at how beautiful this looks. Unbelievable. We're going to let this sit for a little while before we refrigerate it. And we will take pictures and everything, and maybe even do a little video of it being served up. But how gorgeous is this, everybody? Lemon meringue pie made with honey instead of sugar and arrowroot flour instead of cornstarch. How awesome is this? All right, we will see you guys for the next part. All right, let's see how this turns out. We have our beautiful lemon meringue pie here. So we thought we would decorate our plate here a little bit. With a little bit of raspberry sauce to go with it.
lot easier with the squeeze bottle, which I don't have on hand here. So good. Start that. All right. All right, here we go. Let's see how this turned out. I'm cutting into a cloud. Hope it serves up well here. Oh, yeah, baby. Look at that. Just like that. How fabulous is that? All right, lemon meringue pie, everybody. We are going to enjoy.
Lemon meringue pie, everybody. Oh my gosh. Again, I am just floored by this, you know, with the arrowroot flour. And so I'm like, I cannot tell you, you guys have to have it tried. Look, it was so great. I promise when we ever get together, guys, I promise we will make that together. I will make that for a dessert. But you know, it is just because you guys asked me to make something. I love it when you guys request for me to try something or make something, because I'm like, okay, how am I going to make this? You know, I'm not a fan of regular sugar. I'm not a fan of flour. So how am I going to find a way to do this? And then, you know, the chef in me goes, okay, let's figure this out. And thank you, Tri, for that wonderful suggestion, because that turned out so good. I was just thrilled. The thing too about adding honey to a meringue, the most important thing, like I said, is adding that honey slowly at the end was vital, because it could make the whole thing crash. So that was why I put that up there, that adding that honey at the end was very vital. Slowly, just drizzling that in as it's whipping and stuff, and getting your peaks really thick already before you even add in. If you just use regular sugar, you could have done that all together. But because honey is a liquid, you've got to make sure that you do that at the end and very slowly. And it worked out so well. Oh my heavens. Now it's absolutely a favorite way to make lemon meringue pie, everybody. So excited about that. So excited. Thank you guys so much for that. Yes, yum, 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 yum. I love it. That is what JJ is screaming over there in the chats with all of you others. I'm sorry to make everybody hungry, but this is why I said bring a snack, right? Bring a snack. And hopefully you guys try that. Try some version of that, or inspire me, you know, hey, put something in the chats or in the permanent chats, or you guys know how to find me at the end of the show by following me and say, hey, you know, Lady It's tried this next time, and I love it. We need to be doing some new videos now coming up this month. We're going to have a whole bunch of new things going on here too. The holidays are over, so a lot, we'll always think of something fun to do for dessert, but you know, probably a lot less fattening things like we've made, making fudge, hot chocolate, cookies, pies, you name it, because you know that's what we do with the holidays, right? So we'll be thinking of some other different things to do this week. But if you guys have something you want me to make, just please put that in the chat or contact me somehow, and we will figure that out and make sure we make a video of that. All right. So I am so happy that you guys were able to feed your stomachs and learn how to do things natural. Let's bring cooking back to the kitchens. Let's have some fun. You know, turn on that classical music or the music of your choice. Roll up your sleeves. Get a great cookbook. Hopefully mine soon. You know, and try new things. But the greatest thing is it's so much worth it. Yeah, it might take time to make these things, but it's so much better than going to some store and having some pre-processed, chemical-filled, whatever crap. It just tastes so much better when you guys are making it yourself, and you might as well have some fun. Teach the kids. My kids love to learn how to cook. You know, they thought that was so much fun. And yes, they can all cook. Maybe, you know, not to certain levels, but I'll tell you what, my kids, including my son, can all cook. So make it a whole family affair. All right, guys, as we switch over, please don't forget to do those things, those likes, follows, shares, and so forth. Thank you guys so much for all of that. But what we do here too on Sundays is we not only feed your body, but we feed your soul. So we always like to do our segue with the wonderful Be Blessed prayer. This was a beautiful gift given to me, and it's a prayer for others, something I include in my daily regimen. When besides my personal prayers, is this gift was like, how do we pray for other people? I do not know what you're going through. You do not know what I'm going through, but God knows what we're going through. So this is probably one of my most treasured gifts, and I was just given on a bedazzled index card, and I turned it into an amazing video, everyone. So as we watch this amazing prayer, oh, you know what? And thank you, Frosty. We'll get that to the very end. At the very end, I will try to play those, but maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. You know, we have some amazing sponsors as well that you guys need to check out, and we'll play those at the end of our day today. But you know, my segue, I love to go from the cooking straight into the wonderful spiritualness of feeding our soul. So everyone, it is my honor, my pleasure to present the Be Blessed prayer.